Greetings everyone, Switched Up here. I decided to do a review about the Big Mac question. A while back ago, I made a theory video, or at least I thought parts of a theory and I thoughts what I thought about the name of the title. When I first read the name, the Big Mac question, I thought, okay, can this be a reference to the big questions which often be used for a marriage proposal? So I thought maybe, is it time? Is it time for Big Mac to go and to ask Sugar Bell to marry him? So, even if when I saw this episode, it actually confirmed all along what I thought about this. But I also thought, when I made that video at the time, I thought, okay, if he's going to ask her to marry her in that episode, but will it be ending with the wedding itself? Or will it be just a proposal, but not a wedding? But it turns out at the end that it was a wedding at the same place where his parents was married. Even Mayor was actually performing the wedding. And she commented that was her second Apple wedding. And when I recently read here, when Big Mac and Sugar Bell decide to propose to each other, everything their friends to do to help ends up making a mess a whole thing. One of the characters were supposed to help was actually Spike and Discord. I think it's Big Mac, Discord, and Spike became friends after their guy night or game night. It made them very much closer friends, but this time, oh boy, what a mess it was. I mean, Discord, he wants to help, of course, and most of all of that, it really surprised me how much he wants to help, but in his own way. He uses the apples with the names, or at least some names on it, or some writing on the apples with it. But Discord, he snapped his fingers and they actually came to life. But it had an opposite effect, which is surprising. They all merged into one giant apple monster, which surprised me that Discord, which is one snap of his fingers and all the apple monster returns to its normal apples. And it later turns out that Sugar Bell, she decided to do the same thing, but a much different way. It's back in the episode where Big Mac and Sugar Bell became a couple, or at least where they fought to be the breakup episode. She wanted to do something much similar, but instead for that, she used to hide her notes of proposal in the pies with help of Mrs. Cake. And even the Kurmar Crusaders want to help. Even all the friends helps, all the efforts turns into a very much unexpected big mess. I cannot say much about that, but except, holy wow. I can understand that Discord, he wants to help. And even Spike, when he saw their wedding ring, he couldn't resist almost biting the diamond on it. I mean, Spike, come on, I know you love gemstones like that much, but keep your assistance not to eat that ring. Oh boy. But otherwise, all that we can see that Discord Spikes with Big Mac hiding these apples around town on the market and near in the castle, I think, or some other places. At the first, Big Mac was ready to ask Sugar Bell the big question, but deep down I know he was really nervous how she would answer, and if she's and I it's very certain. I know for certain way that I think Big Mac also thought if he thinks that if Sugar Bell felt if she was ready for the big commitment, after they have been together since back season 8. But still, we don't know how much time has passed since back season 8 when they fought the breakup and when they became together. It could have been a year, or perhaps even 2 years before, after, since between those two seasons, because we basically don't know how much time, where the time, I mean, for standard time using in Equestria. But otherwise, we really seen much about this episode itself. Like, for over past 9 seasons, Big Mac have been often been shipped with many other mares like Twilight, Rainbow, Fluttershy, Shirley, and even all Marble Pie. And he had basically prepared for almost any mares that is possible to think of, even including Celestia and Luna of all stars. But otherwise, many people didn't believe that he was going to be settled down with any pony. But the staff of Hasbro had something else in mind. At season 8, they planned for surprise for the people in the Brownie fandom. He was given a girlfriend. And then later said back in season 8, it was believed that they were going to break up. But, I mean, when they found the Brownies read, the fans read the title, like, oh no. But they finally gave Big Mac his first relationship, and now they decided to break it up between them? Why? But later turns out there was some sort of misunderstanding. And I'm just glad that it didn't turn out that they did break up, because if they did, this episode wouldn't have been exist, and it was just funny episode. Both funny and interesting to see how much Big Mac wanted to get married with his beloved Sugar Belle, but at the same time also see how much their friends, family wants to help. Like how Sugar Belle tries with Mr. Cake with the pies, and how with Spike and Discord with the apples around the town, so they can, that if Sugar Belle finds them, and then she finds out, and boy, what a mess it was. I mean, preparing for this proposal isn't that much of a, even if you did something, even if you do go on something and plan how to make this proposal, if you make something like, if you make a plan how to propose to your girlfriend or your boyfriend, or sometimes it doesn't goes in recording plans, but you always have thought of. And that it turns out in this case here. I mean, Big Mac, he wants to just simply propose to Sugar Belle and ask her if she wants to marry him, and just live happily after that. But it proves that things doesn't often go according to plan if they please to. And even Sugar Belle, I mean, I thought that Big Mac was going to make the big question, but I saw that Sugar Belle, she was made the same thing. She wanted to propose to Big Mac. Normally, in the case, there is the boyfriend who is the proposing. But there are even some times where even a girlfriend proposed to the boyfriend. But in this case, both of them wanted to do it at the same time? That surprised me. I mean, that was something that I didn't expect. So for the staff who made that part of the story, congratulations, made something differently. But it's also, I mean, that was really awesome. But I think the most in the story itself is that Big Mac finally thought of a big step. Because we don't know exactly how much time had passed between season 8 and season 9. I mean, still. But overall this, that the Big Mac had asked Spike and Discord had asked for help, and that Sugar Belle had asked the Crusaders for help. Of course, I know that their friends wanted help to make this happen, but even if they plan how to things according to their size of their plans, sometimes it differently wouldn't go. I mean, Sugar Belle, she wanted to use the pies with the note in it to propose to Big Mac, and Big Mac wanted to use the apples with the sign on it to propose to her. But even though both plans wanted to work, didn't go with what they had originally planned for. I mean, anyone wants to make a big plan for it, but sometimes things doesn't go what you want to do. But in this case, that Discord, what he did, that actually did surprise me. I mean, we know that he is the former Lord of Chaos, but but he did not surprise me. I mean, I think that he wants to sort of spice it up this proposal for Big Mac to Sugar Bell a little more. But from what he attention seems to be good, but for the aftermath of what he did seems that he didn't see the. I don't think he didn't expect that effect that the apples were eventually were finds out together and merge into one giant apple monster. I really don't believe he would react to that things. I thought he maybe just those apples just pop up at when Sugar Bell arrives nearby and starts singing for her and then explains what's happened. Maybe that, and even saying, "Big Mac will propose to you. Will you say yes or no?" or something. But it, as I said, I don't think Discord didn't expect all of them to be turned out into this big monster apple. I don't much say that much, but I know that Discord wanted well, and even when the monster apple appeared, and when they said when Spike said Discord, he snapped his fingers and it's all returned. All the big apple returns back to normal, the small apples. But the most of that, I know deep down Discord didn't want that to happen. I thought he wanted just this to be a perfect moment for Sugar Bell to do that. But most of the end, Discord, as Spike had explained with Crusaders to Applejack how all the things happened. Because she was unaware about this proposal, I think. And how how the Crusaders helped with Sugar Bell and Spike with Discord's help to Big Mac, how all their efforts to help them end up as a sort of big mess, but that in the end, Big Mac and Sugar Bell went to this place where his parents had their first wedding, and then they both agreed it even was the big mess of all, but they actually proposed to each other. And even if all of these things that didn't go to according to plans, and this end up a big mess of all of it, but still it was a very beautiful proposal to each other. But to the end, when they had the wedding at the same place where Big Mac had his parents had his wedding, but the most of all, seeing Party Favor, Night Glider, Double Diamond, and even Burned Oak, some of other characters we haven't seen much back since. It was a very beautiful wedding, and most of all, it was just perfect. And it actually confirmed all along with my thoughts and my theory if there was going to be a wedding at the end of the episode. I was really hopeful that it happened. It was like I almost predicted the future. But I'm just happy to see how much happiness that both Big Mac and Sugar Bell had at the end of the wedding. Even though there was a big mess in the beginning. But even seeing Discord snap his fingers and the apples from the tree above just drop down and start singing happily, happy marriage, happy apple. And even this despite it, Discord. Ah, please, let me have some fun or something like that. But I know that in the end, Big Mac and Sugar Bell got their biggest wishes. And it actually also, even this, is the second confirmed shipping in the Brownie fandom. Sugar Bell and Big Mac are meant to be. But there is even another big surprise going to happen between Big Mac and Sugar Bell, but that is for much later. And yeah, and although this episode itself was When I first read the title, Big Mac, the Big Mac question, I thought, okay, it's going to be a big wedding or something, or Big Mac's going to ask Sugar Belle to marry her, and the wedding will be happen off screen, and that they're married in the next screen, the next episode. But I'm just happy they had both the proposal and the wedding at the same episode. But ending the episode with the wedding, it made it even all worth it, an even perfect ending. From a big mess day to a big happy ending at the end of the episode. I just wish that one day it happened to me. I mean, anyone wants to be happy to their special someone. Even that, even we don't know if it will be happen, or it will happen the next year, or next 10 years, or perhaps the same day, who knows. But I have to say, the Big Mac question was really, really amazing. It really touched my heart, and it became one of the most, not only the funniest episode I've seen so far, but the most heart-touching episode ever of My Little Pony series itself. I know that many wonders, will it be something much similar in this episode later and before the end of the season? All I can say is, you have to wait and see. There is now only 3 more episodes left of this series before this end. And those titles are the ending of the end, part 1 and part 2, and the last episode, the last problem. I know there are a few things that might get revealed in last problem, but I won't get much into details about it, except that it will surprise you. It will surprise all of you. It did surprise me when I first saw something I didn't expect. Well, everyone, and if you have your thoughts or any opinions about this episode, let me know in the comment section below. And as always, subscribe, leave a comment, and as always, this is Switch Diablo over and out.